Shanghai Noon. Shanghai Noon stars Jackie Chan and Owen Wilson in a very comedic and pleasurable action film that is very much reminiscent of Jackie Chan's work in the early 2000s. Jackie Chan plays a character named Chan Wang who is tasked with rescuing Princess Peipei from Carson City, Nevada. Princess Peipei was kidnapped to the Wild West, where Jackie Chan comes across Owen Wilson's Roy O'Bannon, who's a bandit in the area. Chan convinces Roy to accompany him on his quest to rescue Princess Peipei, who's played by Lucy Liu, while at the same time combating foes all across the Wild West. And we have our movie. So Shanghai Noon on the whole isn't groundbreaking by any means, but it's definitely a memorable action comedy flick. This kind of film was Jackie Chan's bread and butter, especially in the early 2000s, and that formula works here well with the partnership of Owen Wilson. The comedic banter and charm from each of them carries this movie and makes it worthwhile. No matter if they're together or apart, you can't help but have a good time. Couple that with plenty of action, you get a nice, consistently paced experience full of fun. Having said that, the script is very underwhelming and lends itself to being a little bit too stretched. The antagonists are plentiful in quantity, but they're all forgettable. And Princess Peipei isn't a very compelling character, which kind of dampens the mood when it comes to Chan and Roy's overall goal. If I describe this movie in 4 words, it would be comedic, action-packed, underwhelming, and stretched. So let's start off with comedic. Shanghai Noon features plenty of laughs. Whether they're together or apart, Jackie Chan and Owen Wilson provide great comedic timing that creates plenty of humor, plenty of fun, and some shenanigans mixed in between. And this keeps the movie from requiring their respective characters to have to be together at all times, which really makes the experience all the more well-rounded. Because at a lot of times in this movie, Wilson and Chan are on their own. But when they're together, Wilson's charm shines as he's escorting Chan throughout America's Wild West, and Chan's character's innocence and purity of heart subject him to some very painful yet hilarious lessons. And what brings Shanghai Noon into the Western genre is the ample amount of action-packed scenes that you see in the movie. Between hand-to-hand combat, classic Western standoffs in the middle of town, gunplay, there's plenty of variety to be had in that area. Jackie Chan does what he does best in this movie and provides a certain charisma and elegance to his fighting style, which makes everything visceral and believable as possible without giving off the impression that he's just invincible. And it's a crucial detail to help elevate the movie's experience because you feel as though he's in danger at any moment. And to boot, it's really fun to see him craft and weasel his way out of really tight spots. And on top of that, the amount of action is kept pretty consistently throughout the movie. You get a decent action choreographed sequence just about every 10 minutes, which was a nice balance because it didn't feel too much and it didn't feel like it was too repetitive. And on the flip side, I thought this movie was a little underwhelming, especially in terms of its script. Between an objective that has very little substance, antagonists that are just completely forgettable, and forgettable characters that have little to do with the development of our protagonists, it keeps the movie from transcending past being a satisfying comedy. Jackie Chan and Owen Wilson's banter and unique personalities are enough to carry the film and make it worthwhile, but aside from that, there's not really a whole lot of memorable things to take away. And finally, Shanghai Noon has the habit of stretching itself a little bit too thin in its plot design. Apart from the separate paths of our heroes, there are too many attempts to introduce derivative characters and plot lines to the film. Not all of them get appropriately explored by the time the credits roll, which can leave a little bit of a sour taste in your mouth and wondering why they were there at all. And this ultimately does the film a disservice as the antagonists and even some of the protagonists feel like wasted space because you never really truly get to know them. It creates a lack of conflict and it ultimately leaves you not caring about the character's endgame or either forgetting about them entirely. And also the movie attempts to introduce some deeper lore about some of these characters and rules within their ways of life, but it never goes beyond scratching the surface, which again makes me wonder why even bother going into any detail about it at all then. It feels like the movie wanted to transcend into that deeper nuance, but then it changed its mind halfway through and just kind of left. Again, why bring it up even in the first place? So friends, in the end, I'm gonna have to give Shanghai Noon a 6 out of 10. It's a memorable movie and definitely worth watching. And also this movie's on Tubi right now if you want to watch it for free. Friends, have you seen Shanghai Noon? If so, what did you think of it? You know where the comment section is. Let me know. Thanks so much for watching another Bankrupt Hippo movie review. If you like this, click right here if you'd like to see more. I've been Bryson. Until next time, have a great day.